get my beer. It's amazing how quickly you can lose a drink. There it is. Yeah. So, now, I've gathered you all here today for a very special occasion, a discussion about Feldenkrais. And about, so what's the thing? The title is Feldenkrais and the Underlying Principles, and the Feldenkrais view on how to break with very strong dysfunctional habits.
Did you invented this?
I invented this.
Yeah, it is. It's a very good formulated, interestingly formulated. I mean it.
It's Renee who has inflicted this topic of conversation on us.
Inflicted is just such a good word. Interfere, inflicted.
Yeah, but it really is, it's a fascinating starting point for discussion. Because Feldenkrais called his method functional integration, right? So, and then there's this eternal discussion among Feldenkrais practitioners. What is a function? What did Moshe mean by function? And then they get into the laws of physics and what function means in terms of mathematics. And then some people say that a function is reaching for the glass. I say reaching for the glass is an act, and the combination of skeletal movements and unfolding of joints and folding of joints and the skeletal interactions which allow me to reach for the glass, that's the function. But then, in applying Feldenkrais to the piano, I came up with this, it's standing up, it's walking, it's running. And so that's the function of standing, the function of walking, the function of running, taken from the whole body to the hand's mini body. So that, but then I just contradicted myself because, or did I? Because I just said it's not reaching for the glass, it's all the skeletal things that happen to make me capable of reaching for the glass. But now I said, it's just standing on key, it's walking on key, it's running on key, which would be like reaching for the glass. But when I talk about standing on key, I talk about, the muscles around the hip joint have to flex, and the body moves until it's over the legs, and then you go up, and there you are, and the legs unfold, and all these muscles are working, and the bones are folding and unfolding, and that's the function of standing. The act of standing is just, I stand up. The function of standing is all the muscular, skeletal interactions which combine to get me up on my feet. Right? Right. So for me, this, the Feldenkrais and the underlying principles, it's first of all, and when I talk about it in those terms, it's really far removed from my initial experience of Feldenkrais, which was, slow down the movement, reverse the movement. Don't do the movement with some muscular effort, but do the movement as if muscles don't even exist. And then, oh my God, my spine got looser. Oh my God. And then I stand up and I'm completely different. And it's this beatific kind of experience. I'm floating, or I feel more grounded. I'm changed. And it's from this quality of movement. And I was totally in the experience rather than looking at the underlying thinking of the experience. So it's totally just move softer, move gentler, move slower, so that the brain can adapt and discover a more effective way of moving, a more beautiful way of moving, more elegant, more efficient, more effective. So that was my original understanding.
I brought in this topic because I'm looking for an easy way to explain something about Feldenkrais to somebody who has no experience with it.
Well, I've got a book coming out that's only about 120 pages long, which will help you in that. Because I've sent the book to a whole bunch of people, and everybody says it's the best explanation for the layman that they've come across, because it's very clear. and it's not too complicated. I sent it to a couple of people like Carl Ginsberg, and another one of the top flight trainers, Carl before he died, and he was going, oh yeah, but the little wall, and he came up with some incredibly convoluted, totally intellectual way of explaining something that I had just said. Well, it's like standing up, right? So I didn't follow his advice and complicate things by putting it into his view of the world, which is really conceptual and scientific based, but not for the layman. Yeah.
I thought a lot about this function from some years before that
Yeah.
we had a lecture about the function.
Mhm.
And what did he mean? Because if he called function integration, well, he meant something about this function.
He
And
did.
it is not really written down what does he mean. He
Mhm.
didn't do it himself.
That's
but
right.
What I understood in the end, until now, perhaps you changed my way of thinking. It's the
doubt it.
function is related to what does it do and how does it do.
Mm-hmm.
Very simply said,
Mhm.
like what does the hand do? Well, it does this,
Mm-hmm.
and it moves like this moves like this, and it closes and opens, and one should grasp. What does the knee does? Well,
Mhm.
it does, and that's a way that I found to explain and function. But I don't know if what you guys think about it. It's just how
Yeah, but-
how it works and what it does, and how it does it.
But, okay, very good, but what it does, you're talking about two things.
What?
You're talking about two things.
Yeah.
What it does, it opens and closes, and how does it do it? Well, the muscles contract and the other muscles, lengthen, da.
These two
But-
things, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a third thing, because, for me, opening and closing, it's a movement, but it's not a function, whereas grasping something is more of a function. I mean, it's an act, but it's because it fulfills an intention. Opening
No,
and closing the
I
hand is
understand.
just a motion, but,
But I was thinking
fulfilling
about
an
what
intention.
he meant
yeah.
with the function integration.
Well,
Not what I mean
the
or,
way the trainers talk, they would go more towards grasping as the function rather than just opening and closing the hand. Opening and closing the hand is a movement and grasping is a function, and then the way that grasping happens, like all the musculoskeletal stuff, is also a function. Like,
well, grasping is open and closing. It's
It
nothing
is.
more than that.
uh,
You open and you close.
okay, but I just did that, I opened and closed it,
Yeah.
and I
You don't
didn't,
have a phone.
but I don't have anything in my hand. So did I grasp or did I not grasp?
No, I understand that, but it's just the movement is this.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, grasping is one thing, the movement that you use to grasp is another thing, and the way that movement happens, all the musculoskeletal stuff that happens, is the third level. And a fourth level is the image in the brain that has to exist before all those muscles move in that way. And that's the learned image of a movement, which is there in the motor cortex.
And where
And a
does the
huge memory.
integration happens?
Where does what?
Where does the integration happens?
So the integration happens when I want to grasp something, but my thumb is actually totally bent all the time. And then I'm grasping, but it's actually quite difficult for me to pick stuff up. And then I do an awareness through movement lesson, and I do it like this, and I do my shoulder, and I don't even unfold my thumb. And I do my shoulder, and I do my ribs, and I do my spine, and I do the pelvis, and the knee, and then this and then that, and oh, my thumb got loose. My thumb stopped being overly... And then, if I'm smart, I will grasp more efficiently. If I'm dumb, I'll go back to the old habit. But now there's a possibility for an integration to work, for a function to work better because some of the parasitic contractions were removed. So functional integration. Integrating a function into my way of movement is removing the parasitic contractions that are preventing that function from functioning,
Functioning.
which are making that function dysfunctional.
Optimizing,
Optimizing,
yeah.
optimizing the function, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you accept that?
Yeah, that's what I think
Yeah. Yeah.
also. And I mean, that's what I understood also from the, from what I, from the reading and from what I, from my
Mhm.
own experience.
Yeah.
That you integrate, yeah, that movement is not isolated,
Right,
that function is not a, I grasp it here, I take it here, but it's not only the hand that is grasping,
well,
but
it's the
to
whole
go
self.
there to the whole
Yeah.
self, and then you need to.
That's right.
Yeah, for
So
me,
you-
that is one of the most important things
Yeah.
in Feldenkrais, using
Yeah.
your whole self.
So
And
you,
doesn't cut off
That's
body
right.
parts, so that's
Mhm.
one of the most important things.
yeah.
Yeah, and also the exploring part, we already talked about this.
Explore, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so,
That you don't impose a solution.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Searching and trying and,
But because that's the nature of learning. Because let's say somebody's got a sway back, so somebody's got like that, their back is too far forward. And the bad practitioner will try to fix the back. And the good practitioner knows that like if you try to fix the back, the brain will resist and try to maintain its pattern and you won't get anywhere. And if you don't try to fix the back at all and you explore, well, how could the spine move? Well, actually, one of the ways the spine can move is to get more sway back. Because then, all of a sudden, the muscles are moving that we're just holding, but now they already know how to do that, and if they do that a little more, there's movement, and then you go back, there's movement back, there's movement here, and then, maybe there's a little bit movement further than where the perceived neutral was. So you didn't try to fix the back, you said, how could this back move? And then you explore this way, and you explore this way. And you say, there's a little bit of rotation here, or there's a little bit of side bending here, and then, oh my God, now this flexion extension works even better. So you
yeah, that's an
don't
interesting part.
Work
So-
with it, not against it.
Work with it, not
Work
against
with
it.
it, not against, that's
Yeah,
another,
yeah.
the fundamental
So if you have a
principle.
pupil who is slouching too much,
Yeah.
then you first ask him to slouch
Slouch
even
more,
more.
that's right.
And maybe that's not possible because he's already
No, but the-
on
but
his
the-
maximum.
but he becomes our
and then the reaction of the contra movement will
Yeah,
help him to come. Yeah, without mentioning it.
yeah, and there's two reasons why that happens. So let's say I'm like this, I have a scoliosis in my back, yeah? And now, the surgeons, they never ask, why is there a scoliosis? They just, we gotta fix the scoliosis. But there's a scoliosis because these muscles are contracted more. These muscles are not contracted so much. So I'm pulled that way. So, if the practitioner helps this person go more this way, then the practitioner is taking over the work of these muscles. So these muscles want to curve the back like that. That's their habit. And now somebody else is, all of a sudden these muscles have nothing to do. So they, I can take a holiday, and they let go, and then, it goes back more normal because they forgot to start working again, if you do it nicely. So these muscles are working too hard. I'm going to do those muscles work for them. Now they're not working at all. Doom, like that. That's one neurological function. The other neurological function is the stretch reflex, because these muscles are long, right? And now I'm going to stretch them and make them longer, and when the brain feels that a muscle has been stretched, it automatically starts to shorten it. So now it's going to shorten these muscles and pull the back towards a less skewed position. So there's two neurophysiological processes which help an improvement in movement when you go with the pattern instead of going against the pattern. So I've known this for a long time, but David Burson, there are videos online of David Burson doing FI demonstration, and he's got a lady on the table, and the lady is obviously like, the legs are here and the head is there, so the lady's not lying straight, she's lying like this. And then he takes her more there, and he takes her more, and you can't believe that she's gonna get straighter, and in the end, she's lying almost straight. So
A lady with a scoliosis.
well, I don't know whether it's a scoliosis or what, but
Okay.
she's just lying like that.
Okay.
And then, and he didn't put her straighter, she just got straighter through just doing what she likes. So you watch it, and still, I've been a practitioner for 30 years, and I still can't really, you can't really believe it when you see it, but it happens. She actually gets straighter. From helping her get less straight, she gets straighter. So it's, but you have to be sensitive in the way you do it. You can't, you have to sort of coax it and feel and sense exactly where there's a little block there, and then don't go against that block, but somehow. So you're working with the neurology of that particular person's physical organization. And it's always very complex. That's why you can't just fix a back, because it's related to 50 other things.
Yeah, probably this lady perceives her body as being curved the other way.
That's right. Yeah, she thinks she's straight. But in the end, at that time, she felt she was straight as well. Like, somehow he did it so elegantly that she didn't feel, oh, now I'm bent the other way.
That's an interesting part too.
Yeah.
I think how can we perceive more more realistic? our
Yeah.
body?
How can we get our perceptions less subjective? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I gave a lesson to a violinist once, and she had a problem with her left wrist. The left wrist had pain, you know? And she had the arched back, like all violinists, and she had this and that, and we did all the stuff with the Yitzhak, and we did another thing with the Keith Townshend bow arm. You know Keith Townshend of the Who?
No.
That was a rock band that lived before you were born, yeah? So Pete Townshend was, not Keith Townshend, Pete Townshend, he would play the guitar like this. So we do the violin bow, vroom. So play a note, vroom, on an open string. Play a note on an open string like this, and another one. And then all of a sudden the violinist is playing more freely, just because the neuromotor system got out of this picture and got into this picture, yeah? And so anyway, I did a bunch of stuff, and her wrist pain went away, and I never paid attention to her wrist. Never touched it. And that's the most elegant Feldenkrais lesson.
And what you do too is when there is a problem in the right hand, you work with the left hand.
That's
And
right.
then the problem with the right hand solves
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, that's often the case, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the right side, the left side, whatever. So always work with the good side, because the so-called good side can learn more easily because it's not stressed out. And it's not suffering from some sort of parasitic contraction, yeah? So those are some of the background principles about Feldenkrais, that why Feldenkrais works so well. But then, when you apply it to piano somatics, then there's this whole other dimension that just opens right up, which grows out of this simple metaphor that it's lying down, standing up, walking, running, and jumping. Because now you have a context in which to modify everything the pianist is doing, from the drop to the stand-up. But that alone, the thing that's amazing about that to me still, I mean, I sort of invented it, but every time it happens I'm still amazed, is that how far this stuff goes into artistic practice. And how far, like the stuff we were doing with the arm choreographies, they get very, very precise. And then, da-da-da-da-da, oh my God, that was really a slur. You know, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And then you realize, my God, if I don't, like with this tube tunnel wrist, like just go like that. If I don't do that, then it doesn't sound so well. You know, and then big chords, like standing up quickly to make a big chord instead of falling in to make a big chord. That's the one the most professional pianists, you know, I've heard lots of like world-class pianists, they play in Belgrade, they have a good recital series there. And they're fast fingers, amazing. Soft playing, beautiful colors, everything. Big chords, loud. Weighted touch, ugly sound. Like from the best. And then, Andrzejewski, Arkady Vologos, well, Ivo Pogorelic is a special case because he really slams the shit out of the piano. And Lucas de Barg and all these, and you realize they're all excellent musicians. They all have a lot to say musically, and so you put your, well, I know they could do Stephen Huff, not Stephen Huff, the other British guy. He played a Tchaikovsky variations for piano and orchestra, a piece I didn't even know existed, and it was just horrible. Even like the non-musician friends, that one was in Novi Sad, who would come to me after and said, "Why does he bang the piano like that?" He's a top flight, world-class pianist, because he was taught the way to touch. So they don't know about stand up, stand up, stand up to make a glorious sound, like because you did, instead of choking the piano, you free the piano. And then this is Tom who was here today. To me, that this was.
But do those chords you helped with in the adagio, that crescendo,
Yeah.
that was great. A great
Uh-huh.
moment.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so orchestral. And,
Because he's not just going like this.
Yeah.
It's the
And
body.
connecting
It's the
everything.
body. It's the body.
Yeah.
But that, for me, that's one of the most interesting lessons I've ever taught. Like in all the 40 years I've been doing this stuff, because he's obviously, and he told me, like the first teacher was the one that said, drop, and then this dropping remains in his system and makes him a victim of his technique. He's got stage fright, he's stiffening, his shoulders are coming back, and but he plays extremely well. And you hear this amazing musicianship and this sensitivity to Beethoven. Wow! And then imagine that he's doing all this really good playing while his whole body and his whole neuromotor system is basically in alarm state. Like, help, help! I'm falling, I'm falling! I mean, my God, I don't know if I've ever seen such good musicianship in the context of such a misplaced perception about what piano technique is. So I thought, okay, let's do an experiment. Let's see if just creating the constant, let's use my little metaphor once again. Oh, it's standing up. Oh, it's walking. Oh, I have a hip joint. Oh, I have a torso. And let's see if, we've only got one lesson. I might never see the guy again. Let's see how much this can help. And like he was so smart that he just, and you saw
He picked it up very quick.
transformation. It wasn't just that it wasn't better. It was transformation. So it was like he was amazing because he could actually get it. But of course, at first it was kind of primitive, and he didn't really know how. And it feels really weird, and oh, this is so weird, but I like it. How can I like something that's so weird? Well, like you're weird. No, that was a joke. Anyway, but so the weirdness was really an indication that he's doing something very different. He's shifting his whole perception of what he does from a drop to a stand-up. So it's 180 degrees. You just turn right around. And so that was an indication to me that actually context can be a very powerful thing. Like if he continues to work and just has that context, this is the function. When I go to a piano, I don't fall into the piano, I stand up on the piano, I start walking, I start running. That context could transform everything. So it was a very interesting discovery to me to see how effective that could be, even in a first lesson, like the guy's never heard about it. So when the question for the seminar was how do we address really long-standing habits which are not serving us? So I don't know what other answer to.
What I do with pupils sometimes, I'm curious about how you think about it. When I reach something new, then I let them switch to the old again,
Yeah.
back to the new again.
Mm-hmm.
So that then when they go back to the old, sometimes I don't know anymore what the old was, then
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, they can't even find
But
the
that,
old.
yeah, that's okay too, but then I'm afraid that they will find it again.
Right.
Of course. So I like them to switch back to the old
Yeah,
and then to the new. If I
Yeah.
see that they can do that a few times, then I can trust that they can play with it a bit more at home.
if you know what you're doing, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's very good. It's very difficult, of course. I mean, I remember giving FIs in the FI practicum in my training. And this guy had a golf swing, and he wants to improve his golf swing, and he's completely tense, like. And I gave him a pretty good FI for a student, and then, at the end, I said, okay, try your golf swing now. And Jerry told me, no, don't do that. He's just gonna go back to his old. Just let it sit, let him try out his golf swing later when he's had more chance to integrate. So sometimes I follow Jerry's lead in that, but sometimes I like to, as you do, like, okay, let's try it out, make sure you can do it the new way. Try the old way. It's always risky to try the old way because you're reactivating the old habit. You just spent an hour eliminating that old habit, replacing that old habit with a new habit. Why are you now going to? So sometimes it's too soon, like you just want the new habit to sit. But eventually you have to, if you know what you're doing, you do what you want, so you have to go back, figure out what the old habit was, experience it, and know how to get from A to B. Hmm? So that means you'll have to play the violin like this. But eventually you'll maybe this doesn't feel so good.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But perhaps it has, if you have a little bit, I don't know, with a student that is starting or doing for the first time, perhaps it's difficult, but if you have more experience with this, oh yeah, what am I doing? How can I do it differently? Then for me now, at this stage, it's interesting, oh yeah, I did this, and like in the lesson you're suggesting this, so if I remember how I did, and I'm practicing and I do it again, I will remind myself, oh yeah, I don't want to do this, that was the other suggestion. So it's more, yeah, so you are aware of what you're doing, and you can help yourself to change it.
But,
For me it is helpful.
yeah, but in this situation where you want the student or yourself to go back to the old so that they can recognize the old and then find their way back to the new, so they start getting adept at the path, and then you've really mastered the new. I think here context is a really, really important help. Like if you just say, do this, don't do this, that it's like they're not going to be able to tell the difference so well as if you tell them, look, this is like you're falling down, like you get out of the bus and you fall down face flat on the pavement when you got off the bus. And now, get off the bus and like stand up. You're standing up, you're walking, maybe you're lying down.
What do you mean by context?
Context, I mean, if you just, like, what is a function? Is a function, like for me, if I'm moving my hand like that, I'm not grasping. If I grasp, I have to be grasping an object. It has to be intention related. This is not an intention, this is fulfilling an intention. So if I'm telling the pianist, just do that instead of doing this, that's not a very good context for him to learn. And if I say, this is like standing up, this is like taking a Tai Chi step, it's like walking from one to the other, then there is a more global
Putting in a
experience.
context.
Huh?
Using metaphors, putting it in a context.
Yes. Yeah.
It's what I like in Tai Chi is that
Yeah.
every movement has a purpose or
Yes.
imagine
They're all battle
metaphor.
moves. It's a push, it's a parry,
yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
defense, it's a punch,
Yeah.
it's,
There
there's
is
a
always an
block.
intention.
Yeah, pardon me?
There is
There's
always
always
an
an intention.
Yes, there's always an intention, yeah. And then when you learn the situation, so my Tai Chi teacher like, we have to go like this is one movement. He says, okay, the other guy stand here, come, attack him, boom, like this, and somebody's attacking me, oh! And then you realize, my God, if the arm is too far out, he can come in. If my arm is too close, he's gonna crash me, and there's one particular place for the arm, where the muscles aren't holding it, it's just there, and it blocks, and it goes off like that. And for every move, for every, the pull, the block down, and there are these precise angles which, when you have a partner come at you and show you the battle application, then you can start really working on your alignments and getting them just so that they're effective. Yeah.
But in playing the piano, it's also very clear, I think. I mean, you show a movement to a pupil on the piano, for instance, standing up, and at once the sound improves. So,
Right.
so that's also a way of putting a context, I think, because there's a direct result. So that's the motivation for doing all this.
That's the best context. That's the one that really, yeah.
I think it's for me it's also quite amazing how easy it is to reach that kind of results, and especially because the pupils themselves they hear it as well.
Mhm.
They feel it and they hear it.
Right.
And when there is also the consequence of my God, it feels better. So
Right.
it's not only a better sound, but it's a nice feeling.
Mhm.
It's a natural feeling, and then you reach something quite soon.
It's important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, thank you for that, because that's really like, and my mistake is I know that like, eventually we want to make music. The stand-up is only good if it makes a musical sound that you want,
and
the
that's
walking and everything.
and that's how you work all the time.
Yeah.
don't you?
But I tend to forget, like, stand up and walk, stand up and walk. Oh yeah, it made a phrase.
I was thinking this all the time already, but everything you said was so interesting as well. So
Yeah.
Because it applied immediately to a musical context,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm better at that now, because I used to I would get swallowed, get drowned in the physical motion, And I know that there's a musical result, but eventually the ear desires a musical result and the body responds, and you don't even have to worry about, oh, I'm moving my arm, or I'm standing up, or whatever.
no.
Yeah, you are moving your arm, but it's just happening because there's a musical intention that needs to be fulfilled.
But I didn't tell you yet. I think that I did a pilot with piano-1 like lessons for a group, pupils of mine.
But grown-ups or children?
7 grown-ups and 2 children.
Okay.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course you talk almost only about movements, because
Yeah.
sound is you can't hear their sound.
Right.
So there's not the result in sound, so there's just a movement. So that's very interesting for me. I had to prepare it, make it my own, and then demonstrate, and some breaks for questions, just the way you did.
Right.
It was very interesting, but they were very enthusiastic about it. That they triggered, and they liked all this. But the great thing, of course, is I see them next week
Mm-hmm.
in the normal lesson.
Right.
So that gave me the possibility to refer
To what?
to these
Yeah.
online lessons.
Yeah.
That's,
Great.
So that's the idea for me, that I can combine physical and online and go on in that
Great,
way.
yeah.
So, and I still refer to these lessons, and it were only 4 lessons.
Mm.
It was just a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Also for myself to
Right.
try if I can do this, if I like this. Yes,
Mhm.
I know I like it. But also to find out if it works.
But you had your piano, you did.
Yeah, I was at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, I understand,
And,
but you had the piano because you said it's only movement.
Yeah, but of course no, they could hear me.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
They
you,
could hear
you
me.
couldn't hear them, yeah,
Yes,
you could
that's
not
the
hear.
thing.
So they're on Zoom, this is on
Yeah.
Zoom,
Yeah.
right?
It's like the same that
That's
he
the
did, yeah.
same concept.
So
Yeah.
when you were doing the movements, like the sliding or the stand up or the rolling or whatever,
Yeah.
did you ask them to feel their sits bones or did you just like
Yeah.
do the,
I also talked about it, also about things like this, and
Uh-huh.
breathing also,
Uh-huh.
breathing, yeah. So,
for all 28 chapters, did you go through like the entire?
No, I
28?
did only the first 4 lessons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did only the
So you
first.
spent a whole session on one lesson?
Yes, I did.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. So I went very into it, and
Oh,
This
great.
is fantastic.
yeah. So and I had to translate it, of course, to find nice Dutch words.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So now I've written a report about this, and maybe there's a possibility to continue, and then the only difference next year would be that pupils have to pay for it.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
That's the next step.
Right,
Yeah.
But for students from the music school,
Yeah.
or from,
yeah.
In Amersfoort.
Amersfoort,
not from conservatory?
No.
Yeah.
No. But there's also one step to make. That's my colleagues, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, how do you convince people that this
This
is
is so good.
So good.
Yeah.
Because when you work with pupils, you teach, so you have to say something, and then, well, you say the best thing you know, you tell them what you know, what you have learned, and so that's easy, but with colleagues, that maybe they feel their way of working is already perfect.
That's right.
So
That
how
is-
do you, where do you find the motivation for learning something new?